When you pull away, everything changes. It's not just your absence that affects her, it's the void you leave behind. The silence that follows the disappearance of a high-value man is more powerful than any words could ever express. She starts to feel emotions she didn't expect, emotions that will change how she sees things. Shock of silence of you forever. We're going to discuss the 8 powerful emotions she experiences when you're not around. These aren't just passing thoughts. They're deep, life-changing realizations that will change the way she sees you in a way she has never seen you before. The first thing she realizes when you're gone is a deep shock. Not the kind that goes away after a few hours, but a deep, all-encompassing shock that her life just took a sudden turn. It's at that moment that the air feels thick and everything around her seems a little too quiet. You see, whether she admitted it or not, your presence in her life was more than just a passing occurrence. She relied on it, perhaps even more than she realized. Consider how she grew accustomed to the sound of her phone in daily interactions. Your messages shine as brightly as your name would appear in her alert system. The wait for your next call or text vanishes in an instant, leaving only silence. The silence that follows your disappearance hurts her the most. The loss of a connection with someone who made her feel noticed is more significant than the absence of noise. She might first tell herself, "It's not a big deal. Maybe you're just busy," or "There's a good reason for your sudden silence." But as time goes on, she realizes that you've really gone missing and wasn't ready for it. That's what initially captures her attention. This shock-seeking approval from others who understand your absence may not be a temporary solution. This very first moment sets the tone for everything else. The silence reminds her of how much your presence meant to her, even if she didn't realize it at the time. This shock is strong because it throws off her sense of normalcy. Suddenly, her world feels a little less stable and a little more uncertain. She might try to distract herself, but every time her phone goes silent when she expects to hear from you, the empty spaces you used to fill become impossible to ignore. Every moment that goes by without you, that shock gets stronger. She wasn't prepared for your departure. It's the kind of shock that stays with her and makes her think about what really happened. Part 2. The need for validation. Did she matter? Once the initial shock of your disappearance subsides, a powerful need for acceptance emerges. There's a deep-seated need to know that she was important to you. Whether she was aware of it or not, your presence in her life instilled in her a sense of value through your attentiveness, enthusiasm. All of that made her feel like she was important to someone, but when you left, it was all over in an instant. She now finds herself questioning whether her importance truly mattered to him, or if she was simply another option. She finds it difficult to move past the constant need for validation that comes with your lack of attention. After losing the thing that used to make her feel safe, your presence, she begins to doubt her own worth and tries to fill the void. At this point, she may begin to constantly check her phone for a missed message from you, or she may even begin to stalk your social media accounts to understand your actions and the reasons behind your lack of communication. She'll look for signs that you still care, even if they're small or indirect. In her mind, she's looking for proof that she still has some value in your life. However, the truth is that your silence exacerbates her feelings. She wants that approval more and more the longer you stay away. Also, she may start reaching out subtly now. She might like some of your old posts or send you a quick message just to see if you'll respond. She's trying to reopen the door and see where she fits in your life. But if you stay away or stay silent, her need for approval grows stronger. It's like an itch she can't scratch, a gnawing feeling that she's lost something she can't quite put her finger on. This craving isn't just about you. It's about her need to feel valued, to know that she made an impact on your life, and when you disappear, that need becomes all-consuming. Section 3. The rise of doubt. Did she make the right choices? After craving validation comes something even more unsettling: doubt. This is where things start to spiral for her emotionally. Your disappearance forces her to question everything. She begins to doubt the choices she made, the things she said, and the way she acted. She replays every conversation in her head, picking apart every word, every gesture, every moment to figure out where it went wrong. Did I push him away? Was I too distant? Did I say something I shouldn't have? These are the questions that begin to flood her mind, and they don't just come in waves. They stick around, lingering. Doubt is strong because it eats away at her sense of security and trust. What seemed like confidence before now feels weak and simple to break. She starts to think of all the little things she could have done better. Maybe she should have been more open and vulnerable, or maybe she should have paid more attention to your needs. Every time the two of you talk, it turns into a puzzle. She's trying to figure it out, but she doesn't have all the information she needs because you're not there to explain or clarify things, which makes her doubts grow. At this stage, she starts to question not only what she did, but also what she knew about the relationship. Did she really know what was going on between you two? Was she in control of the situation as much as she thought she was? Doubt makes her realize that maybe, just maybe, she didn't understand you as well as she believed, and that realization is terrifying. Doubt feeds off your silence. The longer you remain distant, the more she doubts herself, her actions, and even her perception of reality. Her sense of self begins to erode due to this internal questioning, and as her doubt intensifies, so does her desire to resolve the situation. However, in the absence of your explanation or clarification, she finds herself in a state of confusion, unsure of her next steps or direction. Section. You chose to walk away from the feeling of rejection. Rejection is one of the most painful emotions a person can feel, and when you disappear, she feels it hard. Your absence isn't just a random event. It's a choice you made. You chose to walk away, to pull back, and that choice feels like a direct rejection of her, even if things weren't perfect between the two of you, even if there were signs that things were rocky. The fact that you chose to leave hurts a lot. It's one thing for a relationship to end naturally or for both people to drift apart, but when one person chooses to disappear, it makes the other person question their worth. Wasn't I good enough for him to stay? And what did I do wrong? Start to run through her mind. Rejection, even if unintentional, instills in her a sense of inadequacy and a belief that something about her is unworthy. Being rejected is powerful because guilt taps into a basic fear we all have, not being loved or valued. Your silence intensifies her fear, leading her to believe that your absence is a threat. She thinks about her flaws and faults, and since she can't hear your side of the story, she fills in the blanks in her own mind. The story she tells herself is that she wasn't worthy of your love or attention. But here's the catch. It doesn't just hurt when you reject her, it makes her want to prove herself to get your attention again and show you that she is worth it. This is the moment when she may attempt to connect with you more, demonstrating her transformation and the possibility of a change in circumstances. Rejection hurts, but it also makes people want to fight for what they think they've lost. Exactly what she feels without you: rejection and a burning desire to act. Section 5. What else could she have done to alleviate the guilt that follows rejection? Guilt is another complex emotion that can arise. At this point, she begins to blame herself for the disappearance. It's challenging to deal with guilt because it makes her feel like she had more control over the situation than she actually did. She starts to ask herself, What could I have done differently? Could I have been more supportive? Did I push him away without realizing it? She starts to think about every interaction and conversation, trying to figure out what she might have done wrong. Was there something she said that made you want to be away from her? Did she come across as too distant or too demanding? In her mind, the blame starts to shift to herself, and the weight of her guilt is heavy. More than losing you, it's feeling responsible for pushing you away. What makes guilt so one powerful thing about fear of replacement is that it makes her look at her own behavior. She may have believed she was doing everything correctly, but now that you've left, she's beginning to notice the weaknesses. She's beginning to recognize the moments when she could have been more transparent or when she lowered her guard too quickly. Guilt shines a harsh light on these moments and won't go away. It stays with her, making her question not only the relationship, but also her ability to keep any future link. Of course, her guilt makes her want to make things right. Her desire to make amends, demonstrating her ability to learn from her mistakes and improve, intensifies with your absence. The guilt she harbors, unable to release it or seek forgiveness, consumes her, preventing her from making amends. This mental burden grows every day that you're not there. She fears that someone else will replace her. As her guilt sets in, a new fear starts to take over. One of the strongest and most painful feelings she'll experience is the fear of replacement. When you leave, she starts to think that you've already moved on and that someone else has taken her place in your life. It could be another woman, your career, your hobbies, or your newfound independence. In any case, her constant fear stems from the need to feel unique. This fear comes from the deep-seated need we all have, to feel irreplaceable. When you were in her life, she may have thought that you found someone special in her, but now that you've left, she starts to question whether she ever really mattered. If you can just walk away so easily, what's stopping you from finding someone else? This thought scares her. The fear of being replaced leads her to compare herself. If she experiences self-doubt in front of others, she may begin to browse your social media accounts, actively seeking new friendships and relationships. Anything that gives her the impression that someone else has assumed her role is likely to trigger her negative emotions. Every time she sees you enjoying your life without her, it confirms her worst fear, that you've moved on and left her behind. This fear makes her question her own worth. Was I not enough? Did he find someone better? Questions. They not only annoy her, but they also tear her apart. It's difficult to bear to think that someone else could be enjoying the love, care and time that you used to give her. You feel compelled to take immediate action. She desperately wants to return to you before it's too late, but your absence intensifies her fear of losing you. Section sorry. She wished she could turn back time. Regret is one of the worst feelings because it comes from the past, which she can't change. Regret immediately follows her fear of replacement. She starts to wish that she had handled things differently, that she had said or done the right things to keep you from leaving. When she feels regret, she looks back at your relationship with a critical eye and wants to change the past. She'll start to wish she had been more open, understanding, or present with you. Every little mistake and missed chance gets bigger in her mind. Why didn't I see this coming? She wonders. Why didn't I show him how much I cared when I had the chance? And finds it difficult to sleep. If she experiences sorrow, it's due to circumstances beyond her control, exacerbating the pain. When someone has ALS, they start to miss the little things about you, like how you made her laugh, how you listened, and how you supported her. Remembering your time together is bittersweet, full of what could have been. They start to realize that what they had with you was special, and the thought of never getting that back makes them sad. No matter how much she wants to change the past, She knows she can't. She finds herself alone, her thoughts relentlessly replaying every moment. Regret becomes a prison that traps her in a cycle of what-ifs and missed music opportunities. Part 8. Growth and learning from experience. After all the pain, reflection, and finally accepting your absence, she starts to grow from the experience. She starts to understand that your disappearance wasn't just a loss, it was a lesson. She learns more about herself, what she really wants in a relationship, and how important it is to value the people in her life. This is a powerful stage because it's where she starts to rebuild. She applies the lessons she learned from your absence to her future relationships and might become more attentive, appreciative, or aware of the value that others bring into her life. In this way, your disappearance becomes a catalyst for her personal growth. This growth doesn't mean she's over you completely, but it does mean she's moving on. She's turning her pain into something meaningful that will shape her future in a beneficial way. In the end, your disappearance wasn't just the end of a relationship. It was a turning point in her life that made her stronger and more self-aware.